The Detroit Lions defense has suffered yet again another crucial injury. As early in the third quarter in the Detroit Lions Week 18 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, starting cornerback and first round selection Terrion Arnold went down with a foot injury. What was originally labeled as questionable to return was quickly downgraded to out for the remainder of the contest. And of course, from there, fear began to spread. Will Terrion Arnold be healthy enough to play in the playoff game? Will he be healthy enough to return for the divisional round? And what will the Detroit Lions secondary look like if he is unable to do so? And unfortunately, we didn't have an answer at the time. We went into the celebration. We saw Terrion Arnold in the locker room wearing a boot. And while he was celebrating and seemed in good spirits, the boot was, of course, a very, very poor sign. Well, today we have an answer. Today we have an injury update on Terrion Arnold. After x-rays have been done, the results have come back negative. Terrion Arnold himself has said he is likely to play in the divisional round game and will be with his teammates throughout the playoffs. And today we're going to take a look exactly at what that injury update means, exactly Terrion Arnold's timeline to return, and kind of wrap up his rookie season as a whole. Talk about his 2024 season, his fantastic game on Sunday night, and overall what the secondary is going to look like as the Lions progress through the playoffs. So with that being said, let's start off with the injury itself. As Terrion Arnold left the game early in the third quarter with a foot injury. He was carted off the field with about 12 minutes left in the third quarter, and again was originally labeled as questionable, but was quickly downgraded to out after exiting the blue tent. Terrion Arnold was fantastic for the Detroit Lions this year. Played 91% of the team's defensive snaps, played 948 snaps at boundary cornerback, most of which were in press man coverage, right? He played 16 games for the Detroit Lions this year and was asked to do more as a cornerback than probably any other rookie cornerback in the class, right? A player that coming out of Alabama was told, hey, you're going to come into the NFL. You're going to play the most physical position a cornerback can play, the most physical technique asked out of any cornerback. And you're going to go do it in the 6th week of your NFL career against the best wide receiver in football in Justin Jefferson. You're going to go do it against Marvin Harrison. You're going to go do it against all of these elite number one wide receivers. And we're going to put you on an island to figure it out. And Terrion had some growing pains. Early in his NFL career, he had a lot of penalties. He had a lot of struggles. He gave up quite a few big plays. But overall on the year, he turned out pretty good. In 2024, in his debut season, Terrion Arnold totaled 60 tackles, 10 passes defended, a fumble recovery, allowed a 55.6% completion percentage for 660 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. And while those numbers might not seem incredible, the yards and touchdowns allowed might not feel like an elite cornerback performance, just keep in mind that that is nearly 400 yards and 2 touchdowns worth of improvement over the Detroit Lions' number one cornerback from a season ago. Cam Sutton allowed over 1,000 yards, and to my knowledge, I believe 8 or 6 touchdowns a season ago as the Lions' number one cornerback. Terrion Arnold, as a rookie, as the cornerback 2 for this team, allowed nearly 400 yards and 2 touchdowns less than that. And for the big critique on Arnold's career so far, that being the penalties, yes, it has been an issue. 11 penalties committed, 7 which were DPIs, leads the NFL in that category. He has allowed a free 167 yards this year from DPI penalties alone, but the bright side is that Terrion Arnold has not suffered or has not committed a penalty since week 14 versus the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night. He has gone 4 or 5 games since that Thursday night contest without committing a single penalty. Not a holding, not a DPI, not a unnecessary roughness, not a singular one. He is learning. He's getting better. And while it's still not perfect from the young rookie, it's been much better over the last couple of games. A lot less big plays allowed, a lot less breaks and coverages, several more passes defended over the last 4 to 5 games than we saw in the first 10 games of the season. And overall, despite Terrion not being an elite Pro Bowl corner right out of the box, he's gotten a lot better. The Terrion Arnold we saw in week 18 is leaps and bounds better than the Terrion Arnold we saw in week 1. And the Terrion Arnold we saw in week 1 was not a bad cornerback. Yeah, he was committing some penalties. Yeah, he got beat a couple times. That was not a bad cornerback. And Terrion Arnold right now is significantly improved on where he was. With every single week that passes, with every single game he plays, he gets more confident. You can see the game slowing down for him. He feels the game better and sees the game so much faster. And the Lions are going to have a star cornerback. And none of that compares to what Terrion Arnold was able to do in week 18. He walked into that game with the confidence of an all-pro and played exactly like it. Matched up and shadowing Jordan Addison for the first 2 quarters of that game, Jordan Addison was shut down. In the game, shadowing Addison, Terrion Arnold was targeted 6 times in that game, allowed a singular reception for 0 yards and 2 passes defended. He allowed a quarterback rating of 39.58, a near perfect passer rating for a cornerback, meaning not a singular positive play. Sam Darnold would have gotten the same result, spiking the ball into the ground 6 consecutive times as he did targeting Terrion Arnold on the night. He committed 0 penalties, had 2 passes defended, one of which was a 4th down stop in the end zone, which doesn't go on the stat sheet as a turnover, but absolutely counts as getting the defense off the field with 0 points. And that is the Terrion Arnold we're getting used to seeing. A cornerback that plays with confidence, a cornerback that plays with some swagger, a cornerback that is really good, is sticky in man coverage, is going to be physical off the line, is going to be physical throughout the route, but will get the job done when it matters most. And when the lights were the brightest, when the stage was the largest, when Terrion Arnold needed to step up as cornerback 1 versus an elite wide receiving duo, he played the best game of his NFL career. So I think there's a lot of great things to happen for Terrion. I think coming into the playoffs, he's going to be more confident than ever. He's going to be more refined as a cornerback than ever, going against one of the toughest matchups just this past weekend. And I think he's going to be a fantastic player for a very long time in Detroit. Going back to the injury, it was a right foot injury. Again, exited with 11:39 left in the third, and the x-rays came back negative. Terrion Arnold, via his own Instagram and social media, said that he's playing in the playoffs. He'll be there. He'll be on the field. He'll be suited up with the cleats and the pads, and he will be lined up across from whoever the Detroit Lions are playing. So, with that being said, this is a look at the Lions' current cornerback room. Carlton Davis is on IR with a broken jaw. Emmanuel Moseley's on the NFI list with an illness. Ennis Rakestraw is on IR with a hamstring pull. Terrion Arnold is potentially questionable, but by his own sources says that he will be able to play, with Robertson and Vilder as your other boundary cornerbacks. And while that doesn't look particularly great for the Detroit Lions, I do think they're going to have some reinforcements in a couple of weeks, right? With a bye week, they're going to have the chance to get healthy. They're going to have a chance to return a couple of players from injury reserves, and they're going to have a chance to restock this secondary with talent from top to bottom. The secondary at the moment is quite injured. They do have a number of players on injury reserves, including Carlton Davis, who's out with a jaw injury, Emmanuel Moseley, who's on the NFI list with an injury, and Ennis Rakestraw, who remains on injury reserves with a hamstring injury, but that may be returning very soon. With a bye week coming up, with the Detroit Lions having 2 weeks until their next playoff matchup, they're going to have a chance to get healthy. They're going to have a chance to restock this secondary. And with every day that passes, with every week that goes by, the Detroit Lions get closer and closer to a fully healthy defense. And throughout the playoffs, we could see a number of these guys return. Ennis Rakestraw could return as early as the divisional round. A couple of weeks ago, back in week 16, I want to say, Dan Campbell said that Ennis Rakestraw was close to returning. He said that Ennis Rakestraw wasn't quite ready, but could be returning as early as week 18. He didn't return in week 18, but with 2 more weeks left to go now, there is plenty of time for Rakestraw to get on the field, get in the practice squad, work with the defense, and find a role in the defense, or at the very least provide some depth in the secondary. Terrion Arnold has already said that he is healthy and will be playing, while Emmanuel Moseley has 2 more weeks to come back from the illness that is ailing him. If the Detroit Lions win 2 games after that and go to the Super Bowl, it's been widely rumored that Carlton Davis will return for the Super Bowl. After a surgery on his jaw that potentially fixed the issue, he could return as well for the Super Bowl starting cornerback, giving the Lions a fully healthy secondary going into the biggest game of their franchise's history. So, with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Just a quick update, a quick injury update on Terrion Arnold. He will be okay. The tests have come back negative. The x-rays have come back negative, which means nothing is broken. Nothing is seriously wrong term, and that he will play in the playoffs. Great news for the Lions secondary. Great news for a Lions defense that needs the help. And going into the playoffs, the Lions will host the exact same defense that they played with in week 18. And for that, the Lions are doing pretty darn well. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Let me know down in the comments below your opinions on Terrion's injury, about his return timetable and what you expect, as well as just your overall thoughts on Terrion's rookie season, what Terrion's going to do in the playoffs, and how this secondary will look moving forward. I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions, but with that being said, that's all I got for you right now. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.